No.
That's a lovely, lovely cricket ground.
Right.
And head groundsman there is Andrew Wallace, who's been in touch. Heard Adrian talking about the 2017 game here that finished in 2 days. And Andrew says, I managed to get up for day 2, and that was the last time I actually made it to Trent Bridge, and it's come up on my Facebook memories this week. Thank you, Andrew, and all the best to everybody at beautiful Wormsley.
Sussex played a warm-up game in the 50 over couple of years ago from memory. I didn't go, but I'm pretty certain that been against Oxfordshire. Yes, I think it was.
May have been, yeah. Notts played. Is it the Unicorns there when they were part of the one-day system? And I've been. I did the commentary on a one-day National League final there a few years ago. Bouncer from Robinson, who continues despite his poorly digit, 221 for 8. Alec Wilson says, Dave, is it true you're the Captain Mannering of English cricket? I'll come back in a second to that point. And also, how do you feel about the Dolphins draft last night? Well, just let's wish them well. The new boys they've taken on, Alec. I suspect it'll be just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Another 8 and 9 or 9 and 8 season for the Dolphins. Mid-table mediocrity. Anyway, we'll move on as runs come to Josh Tong as he guides it down towards third man. Will it reach the rope? We're going to get another 3. Been a lot of 3s this morning, Adrian. But Alec Wilson, is it true you're the Captain Mannering of English cricket? Now, I don't know if he's just sort of whimsically brought that off his off the top of his head, or he's seen that photograph that I sent you the other day, where somebody had had mocked us all up, the BBC commentators, a few years ago, as members of Dad's Army. If I can find it, I'll retweet it, because it's a clever bit of work when I can find it. There's Robinson, going to go round the wicket to Patterson White, the left-hander, and just sails past and on its way through to the wicket-keeper John Simpson. 224 for 8, Notts 26 away from a batting point. Seems like at the moment 1 would be the very limit of their ambitions. There we are, I found that photograph, so if we save it, everybody should know I can't do 2 things at once. I can't do 1 thing at once. Let's watch the cricket, David. It's a no ball. It's worked by Patterson White to square leg. No runs off the bat, but 2 for the no ball. 226 for 8, and the lead is 57.
Yeah, and in a low-scoring game, which this has been, Dave, they could be 57 quite important runs. Robinson and Sills have bowled unchanged this morning. I say it again, a lot of people question Ollie Robinson's fitness, but 11 on the spin last week at Hove. He bowled 9 on the bounce yesterday evening. This is his 8th of the morning here.
Robinson in again, short, and Patterson White pulls this away onto the leg side for 4 runs. That was a shot of authority, really, wasn't it? It was too short from Robinson, but I can understand him trying to test out Patterson White, but he's been in good nick this week, albeit in the seconds game. Right, so my Twitter is at Brace Cricket, and from at Brace Cricket I've just tweeted that photograph of the BBC, or a selection. It's a great omission not having Adrian on it, but a selection of the BBC commentators, and it was done back in, I think, about 2013, 2014 by a listener called CC Masters, a bouncer, over the head of Patterson White, and it shows Mark Church as Sergeant Wilson, Kevin Hand as Private Pike, Kevin James as Fraser. It was surprised many of us when we saw that doing the rounds. Another short ball from Robinson, and once again Patterson White gets hold of it, pulls it on the leg side, but this time there's protection out there. Single, 231 for 8, And crucially for Notts, it was the last ball of the over, so Patterson White, who's on 16, will keep strike. But Josh Tong's played a couple of nice shots as well. He's on 11. Notts' lead is 62.
I just wondered at the end of that over whether John Simpson might take a sort of way to look at Ollie Rothesay. Is that it for him? But I think Robinson's going, certainly Jaden Seals is carrying on. So we began the day 37 overs, so we've had 15. So Robinson has bowled 8, and this will be Seals' 8th in a row. You listen to live cricket on the BBC. Welcome to the lovely Trent Bridge. Adrian Harms, Dave Bracegirdle, BBC Radio Nottingham, BBC Radio Sussex. Sussex fighting their way back into the game, but these are useful lower order runs here from Josh Tongue and Ian Patterson White. Overcast day. Feels like a good day to be bowling. Jaden Seals figures a 4 for 80 from his 15 overs. Is steaming in. Comes in a bowls to Patterson White, who's not taken cleanly by John Simpson. That's a collector's item, and that's going to be a bye. Seemed to move away off the pitch. And Simpson didn't take it cleanly. Ricochets down towards third man.
Just hearing that all around, all the roads are gridlocked or closed or shut. Police cars everywhere. The only reason I know this is that the BBC Radio Nottingham sport feed. People can't get into work. They can't get anywhere near Radio Nottingham. Police have shut all the roads off behind us. So
I heard them say in your travel news it was there was a fire or something earlier on. In comes Seals in and bowls. Tongue drives uppishly. Ollie Robinson needs to move to his left at mid onto field, and there is just the one run.
Simon Trafford's obviously seen the Captain Mannering thing. Don't tell him your name, Brace, he says. That was brilliant. What is your name?
That's right. don't tell him, Pike. And he goes, oh, Pike. Yeah, that's very funny. You don't get comedy like that anymore.
You were in the book.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, there's some great comedy, isn't there, from those days?
Yeah. Crofton Perry, was it? Jimmy Crofton,
I think it
David
was.
Perry.
Comes Seals. Bowls. Patterson White lets that one go outside the off stump. There is no run. Yeah, some of those, great comedy, wasn't it?
So that's all because Nigel King, one of our regulars, wishes to point out, if anybody's either wants to see it again or has not seen it, that there's a classic Dad's Army episode tonight on BBC 2, 8:05 scheduled, called The Test, and it's one where the regular characters were joined in a cricket match by Fred Truman. So it's worth a watch if you haven't seen it.
Seals in, bowls to Patterson White, steers that to mid on no run.
I would also maybe just set it to record or whatever you do, because I often find when it's snooker fortnight that matches tend to overrun and all this, that and the other, and you can expect something to be on and it's not, and it's been delayed or put back, and anyway, I can't do anymore. I can't do it for you, folks. I can't do it for you.
Did you see the fellow who won 25 grand yesterday?
Yes.
At the Crucible.
Yes.
In comes Jaden Seals in and bowls short, and it loops over everybody. It's going to be signalled as wides. The ball loops over the head of Liam Patterson White. It goes over the head of John Simpson and runs away for four wides. Nottinghamshire to 238 for 8. Yeah, the story there was apparently everybody, when you go to a session at the Crucible, randomly you're selected.
It's a new thing. They did it at the darts initially in January. If anybody hit a 9 dart 501, and the sponsors had put up that there's a colossal prize for hitting a 9 dart 501. And they would randomly draw somebody out, the ticket number, they'd obviously got all the names to match up with the tickets, and they would randomly draw it on the stage at the interval, and that person would win it was £25,000 or £50,000.
Seals in bowls. Patterson White drives firmly down the ground. Doesn't quite time it for Bo Robinson. There is no run. He was a retired builder, I think,
and understandably, because it's all Matchroom, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Barry Hearns empire, and it obviously went down well, and blah de blah. Yeah, I think was he not celebrating his 75th birthday or something?
I think his son had got him. First time he'd ever been to the Crucible. And his son nudged him, and he's thinking, this could be a 147. And he gets 25,000 quid. Very nice too.
I mean, it'd be great to see, but then, you've got a 1 in 900 chance. There's 900 seats in there.
Seals in bowls. Patterson drives. That's a good shot. Well, he's absolutely put back to ball on that. That's a thumping drive straight down the ground. Over pitching was Jayden Seals, and it's hammered down the ground for 4 runs by Liam Patterson-White. He goes to 20 and knocks to 242 for 8. And these are important runs. These two have added 32 now, Dave.
Yep.
For this ninth wicket.
Notts need 8 for a batting bonus point. Elsewhere, Surrey.
Sorry, just broke off. Ollie Robinson's leaving the field.
Well,
so I think he's got that finger looked at.
Well, his fingers are up there. His figures are up there as well. 20 overs, 3 for 71. And he's done a tremendous job in tandem with Jayden Seals.
Yes.
Going to be James Coles. Elsewhere, quickly at the Oval, Surrey 64 without loss, replying to Somerset's 283. Rory Burns 34 not out. Dominic Sibley 24 not out. At New Road, different sort of game. Worcestershire 162, Durham 99 for 6. Division 2, Derbyshire 326 for 5 at the county ground. It's against Middlesex. Who's getting the runs there? Martin Anderson is 47 not out, the former Middlesex player.
Good player.
There's Coles round the wicket. Balls to Josh Tong. He'll just eke it out onto the leg side for a single. And at Bristol, Gloucestershire 252, Leicestershire 156 for 5. All the scores and all the text updates, wickets as they go down on the BBC Sport website and app, the cricket page. That's where you'll find everything you need to know. 243 for 8. Give myself a minute or two and I'll try and work out how many runs have been scored this morning as Patterson-White throws the kitchen sink at this one as it was drifting down the leg side and there was no run. 36 and 43. What's that? 79 for 5?
Yes. Good maths, Dave.
Yeah, I'm bang impressed. On it this morning.
You are.
As everybody knows, it's always a bit of a liability doing the old mental arithmetic. Patterson-White has scooped this up into the air, and it's got a nice bounce. I'm not a golfer, but golfers know there's two sorts of bouncers, aren't there, when they're hitting it onto the green? Sometimes they'll just come down and just stop nicely, and sometimes they'll bounce on and run on for 20 yards, and he got a nice bounce there. I thought that was going to plug, but it hit a hard part of a used net wicket and went away for 4. So Patterson-White takes Notts to 247 for 8. Coles bowls, and he'll pull this one down the ground. Presume there's somebody that we can't see down below, as there is. It's Daniel Hughes for another single, 248 for 8. And Notts lead by 79, and they're 2 away from a bonus point.
Important runs these, Dave.
Yeah, it's been a needed partnership after Robinson and Seals wreaked havoc. Tong defends this delivery. Terrific if you've got a pair of bowlers that can keep going for an hour and a quarter or so. Not only that, kept the runs down and picked up wickets. It's a great spell from them both as Tong eases this out as far as Tom Clark. And that's the end of the over. 248 for 8. Liam Patterson-White on his first appearance of the summer is 25 not out. Josh Tong is 13 not out. And this morning, Notts have lost the wickets of Jack Haynes for 35. He went to Seals. Verena for 9. He also went for Seals. Then Robinson got in the act, removing Hamid for 85 and O'Neill for 0. And then Seals, the last wicket to go down, got Brett Hutton for just 4.
Indebted to my colleague, or Dave and I's colleague, Martin Emerson, who's the Durham commentator, he just sent me a note this morning to say it's 10 years ago today that Ollie Robinson and the sadly late Matthew Hobden put on 164 for Sussex up at Durham for the 10th wicket. It's a record, I say this every year, that I hope never gets beaten for Sussex.
Was that one of his first games?
It was Ollie Robinson's debut.
Oh, that wasn't bad, was it?
And he made 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made 100, and Sussex were in all sorts of trouble. Matt Hobden made a half-century. 164. at the Riverside 2015. I cannot believe that's 10 years ago. Finn Hudson-Prentice is into the attack, replacing Jayden Seales. He bowls to Liam Patterson-Wade, who gets an edgy single down to Jayden Seales, who comes in from sort of the nets area down away to our right-hand side and fields. One more to the total.
Yeah, he's got the only other wicket to fall. The only one outside the Seales-Robinson combo was that of Joe Clarke. He was caught by Tom Clarke. Another good slip catch. Hudson-Prentice snaring him yesterday.
Yes, the quality of the catching from both sides has been of the highest order. Sussex just the two slips in now, Tom Alsop and Tom Clarke. There's a backward point. Cover mid-off, mid-on, a straightish mid-wicket, a deeper mid-wicket and a fine leg as Hudson-Prentice bustles in, bowls to Josh Tong, who's forward, plays him to the offside. There is no run. He looks very capable. Josh Tong, these two have now added, they came together when the score was 210, so they've added 39, which in the context of the match is a substantial partnership, Dave.
It is indeed.
It means the lead is now 80, which on a pitch which is doing a bit is very handy for Nottinghamshire. I see Ari Cavalis is on the field for Ollie Robinson. Hudson-Prentice in, bowls to Tongue, who is, I thought had been caught, but the ball bounced short of Tom Clarke at second slip, and there is no run. Sussex have been blessed with some excellent slip fielders down the years, not least Michael Yardy, who used to be tremendous in the slips. But I'll tell you what, Tom Clarke is not far behind. He's a tremendous slip fielder. He's taken 3 catches. Yeah. Joe Clarke, Fergus O'Neill and Brett Hutton. In comes Hudson-Prentice bustling in bowls. That looked to me like it was sliding down the leg side, and it was a half-hearted-ish appeal. And there is no run. Although it's a cloud, somebody's trying to break through. The clouds are very high, so we're not going to get any interruptions for the weather today, which is good news. It's not quite as cold as yesterday. Our friend the cameraman has still got his hoodie on this morning, and it's still got the hood up as well. There he is. He's looking at us.
No, this is Ella. Ella, without her umbrella.
In comes Hudson-Prentice. I could only see Ella from the back. Yeah, Ella turns around and gives us a little wave.
I think it was a nasty glare she was giving you.
Was it? No, it wasn't. It was a smile. How could you glare at us too, Brace?
She's smiling.
Yeah.
She's smiling.
Well, they're doing a great job, as do all the people around the ground.
Yeah, we've got Ella and Lee and Spence and Barney and Wilson, the remote camera at the far end.
Okay. Yeah. Well done, everybody. And we've had lots of comments through about the stream, so well done. James Coles has switched from mid-wicket to a short extra cover as in comes Hudson-Prentice bowls, and Tong is forward and plays it straight to James Coles. And there is no run. End of the over, 2:49 for 8. Tong on 13. Patterson-White is on 26. Then Hudson-Prentice, 8 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 24. Nottinghamshire beginning the day 164 for 3. They've lost Haynes for 35, Verena for 9, O'Neill without scoring, Hutton for 4, and skipper Hamid for 85. 3 wickets this morning for Jayden Seales, 2 for Ollie Robinson, but these two are just steering the Nottinghamshire ship into a decent position here.
One more for a bonus point. Yeah, all day yesterday you were calling Ella a gentleman.
I'm sorry.
I didn't want to correct you.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Sorry, Ella, not my fault.
No, there was a gentleman there yesterday. I think it was Lee out there yesterday. There's James Coles from this end of the ground. Mark Newell is the umpire, and I thought initially, crikey, Notts have got their 250th run with some shady underhand dealings there. I think the bowler would probably have stopped it, but Josh Tong couldn't get out of the way, and it ends up being a single. That's the biggest cheer of the morning from the Notts fans, because they move on to 4 points. They've got something that Sussex can't now get, and that's a batting bonus point in this game. 250 for 8. Coles, bowls and Tong solid in defence.
He's surveying that leg side boundary. Dave, it's relatively short for the right-hander.
Just wonder if the eyes will light up if Coles gives it a bit of air. This is short and it is just worked. That's, you know, proper cricket shot, yeah. Yep. Into the offside for a single.
Well, you know, you're a test player. You know, he's principally in a side to take wickets, isn't he? But he can obviously handle a bat, Josh Tongue.
There's Coles to Patterson White. He can play this into the offside for a single. Yeah, it's funny when you make a move and want to impress. He never had a first-class 50 before, Josh Tongue, and then it's Nott's debut, the first match of the season. He got a half-century here. You know, just the willingness, desire to impress on your debut for a new side.
Just brought Jaden Seals up from long on. He's about 2/3 of the way in from the boundary edge.
Another nice shot from Tongue into the offside. So we're getting sick of swapping over. That's 3 balls, 3 singles.
Actually, quietly here this morning, Dave. Nottinghamshire have added 89 in what, an hour and a half. So although wickets have fallen, runs have come at a reasonable pace as well. I better go do my update.
Thank you, Adrian. More from the great man before too long. 12:30. This is cut away behind square on the offside, and there's no run. 2:53 for 8 at the end of the over. Nott's lead is 84. Going to be Finn Hodgson-Prentice to continue. So Nott's 89 runs added today. I won't mind that bit, but certainly not in the game plan from the home side to lose 5 wickets in this morning session. Here's Hodgson-Prentice trying to make it 6. His first ball is just short of a length. Josh Tongue plays it through the onside of straight. There's no run. Ben Slater, Ben Duckett, Joe Clark dismissed yesterday evening. Overnight Notts were 164 for 3. Nicely poised this morning with a Seabermead 67 not out overnight. He went for 85. Haynes was 34, not out overnight. He only added a single. There's Hodgson-Prentice. Bowls now and just run out on the leg side for a single. Is there going to be a signal? No. So some bat involved. 2:54 for 8. Reminder, should Notts be 9 wickets down at 1 o'clock, the scheduled lunch break, then we can play on for an extra half an hour or so. The last match here against Essex, we actually had that scenario, and Notts were 9 down at 1 o'clock, and it took Essex 40 minutes to bowl the 8 overs. It's half an hour or 8 overs, and the Notts' last wicket pair was still there at 20-2 when they went off for lunch, and the last wicket pair came back after lunch as this is drilled back at Hodgson-Prentice, and he fields off his own bowling. So I think yesterday we had it the other way round, didn't we? We had the hyphenated, the double-barrelled Patterson White bowling to the hyphenated double-barrelled Hodgson-Prentice, and now it's the other way round today. 2:54 for 8. Liam Patterson White on 28. There's one first-class 100 to his name. Do extremely well to get another one here, but he dabs this down behind square. Clark does the fielding. One more to the total. 2:55 for 8.
Just talk about the wicket here, Dave, and wickets around the country, and sometimes it's damned hard work for bowlers. But have you got an update or something?
Yeah, we're into the sports show now with Notts County kicking off at 1 o'clock. We've got a sports show. Yeah, not quite the morning that Nottinghamshire or their supporters would have wanted, because Notts have lost 5 wickets as Sussex have come roaring back. 2 test bowlers have done the business for the visitors here. Ollie Robinson, recently discarded by England, trying to get back in their thoughts with a terrific performance this morning. He's got 4 of the wickets to go down. I beg your pardon, he's got 3 of the wickets to go down. At the other end, the West Indian, Jaden Seals, bowling with plenty of pace. He's got 4. So Notts really reliant upon a Seba Mead to get them a really big first innings lead, but he went for 85, having been 67 not out overnight. Wickets have continued to tumble. The Notts lead at the moment is 86 with 2 wickets left. They're 255 for 8. That's Hudson Prentice bowls to Josh Tong, and he'll get a single in Notts County playing Harrogate away, 1 o'clock kickoff, so there's a 12:30 sports show just begun on BBC Radio Nottingham, so periodically they will come, I'm sure, up to kick-off and then half-time and then afterwards, and not entirely sure what they're doing then, because neither Mansfield Town or Nottingham Forest are playing from 3 o'clock onwards, so they may well be back to a normal Saturday afternoon music show. Anyhow, 256 for 8. All that will unfold as the afternoon goes on.
Let's talk about the wicket here, Dave. I mean, it just seems to me that there's a bit in the pitch for the bowlers, which is great to see. If and if the batsmen who have applied themselves and made runs, I'm thinking particularly about Hamid, I'm thinking about James Coles, Ollie Carter. It's hard work, but it's just made for a thoroughly entertaining 4 sessions of cricket.
That's so far. Sometimes it has got flatter and slower as the match has wound on.
Coles in, bowls to Tong, plays away into the offside, and there is no run. But it's better that than a pitch that from day one you're there thinking, this is going to be a bore draw.
I suspect there's going to be a little bit in this all the way through for the bowlers.
Well, that's good. I think that's the way it should be. Coles, left arm around the wicket, in and bowls. Josh Tong drives firmly to mid-off. Daniel Hughes is there. At mid-off, there is no run. 256 for 8. Nottinghamshire means they've added 92 this morning. Coles. In again, bowls, and Tong just worked it. It looks a very useful lower order player to me. Josh Tong, he goes to 18, 257 for 8.
I think if you've got to the level of playing test match cricket, albeit just 2, but if you've got to that sort of level, you know which end of the bat to hold. But I was a little surprised he hadn't registered a first-class 50 until coming here.
Coles in, bowls, pulled away by Liam Patterson-White, and that's an excellent bit of fielding. Jack Carson is a very, very fine fielder. It was a good shot by Patterson-White, and Jack Carson was very quickly round, fielded the ball and got an excellent throw into John Simpson. Good work by Carson. Patterson-White goes to 30, 258 for 8.
Nigel King listening to me rattling off the names of the camera crew and said Wilson, the static camera, yet another Dad's Army connection. Quite right.
Coles in, bowls, and Tong drives down the ground. Good stop by Daniel Hughes, no run. End of the over. James Coles has bowled 7 overs, 1 maiden, no wicket for 19. Notts 258 for 8 with Tong on 18, Patterson-White on 30. There is so much information on that scoreboard, and this partnership now worth 48. I talk about players who you're surprised when they reach a landmark. I remember being at Colchester. We were talking about Colchester earlier when Sussex played there. Chris Nash, who was listening to us earlier, maybe listening now, would have played in that game. And Chris Jordan scored 100. And I remember looking and thinking, I wonder how many hundreds Chris Jordan's made, and it was his maiden.
Crikey. Jaden Seals is coming back.
Interesting.
Fancies a 5.
Well, he does.
I would imagine Chris Nash is already at Horsham in the changing rooms putting his whites on, wouldn't he?
Well, he's the... I think Chris is the chairman now.
He must play. He must still play.
I'm not sure if he plays for the thirds or something, or I don't know.
He must still play. His run's in the old boy yet. There's Jaden Seals back.
Yeah.
Comes in off a lengthy run, and Liam Patterson-White, who did face him before he went off for a little mini break, plays this without any real timing up to mid-off, no run.
His lead is now 89, which is a significant lead in what's been a low-scoring game so far on a pitch that's giving a little bit of help to the seamers. I can see Ollie Robinson's warming up as well.
Yes, Skipper Simpson just asking them for just that little bit more effort. Let's see if we can get this done before lunch, fellas. Seals in again, and once more a check drive by Liam Patterson-White. Yeah, the lead 89. Always sounds more, doesn't it, if you can get the lead into three figures. 13 wickets went down yesterday. We've had 5 in the first session this morning. If we have 5 go down in the afternoon and then again in the final session, won't be an awful lot of cricket left for tomorrow, you'd imagine. Certainly won't be a deal for day 4 as Patterson-White again looks to drive in the V. He's driven to mid-off, to mid-on, and now to mid-off again without getting a run.
Well, Sussex are going to have to bat a good deal better than they did in the first innings. And there was some middle order resistance. I thought James Coles, I thought, batted as well as I said him bat away from Hove yesterday. I thought he batted very nicely, and Ollie Carter showed the discipline that's needed on this pitch. But they're going to have a few who are going to get their heads down.
Seals. He's alternating it. He's gone mid-off, mid-on, mid-off, mid-on without getting a run. That one I think he was trying to pull. You spoke to Carter at close of play last night. Did he mention that we both thought he was out-stumped and not caught behind?
Do you know, I didn't, and I should have done, actually.
It just seemed a little out of character that he went dancing down the track.
Yes.
And what was a fine innings was brought to a premature end, and it was an avoidable premature end, wasn't it?
Yes,
it was the only wicket that went down to spin on day 1.
I did ask him about his winters he spends over in Australia.
There's Seals bowls now, and again Liam Patterson-White can't get it away. There's a lot of effort being expanded in this over from the bowler initially, that pounding approach and delivery, and Liam Patterson-White trying some muscular shots without managing to dodge the fielders.
Yeah, Ollie was saying, because he's sort of the pro playing for Newcastle, which is about 2 hours north of Sydney. And he's saying, he loves being over there, but he said as the pro you do get a fair amount of chirping from the fielders.
I can imagine, yeah. Next ball is short, and it is pulled away by Patterson-White, and it seemed to have got underneath that. It's one bounce for 4. He did look as if he was going to play it uppishly, but that's the boundary. And takes this partnership up to 52 from 61 balls. That was the announcement and the subsequent crowd applause. Useful runs, 262 for 8. Partnership into the 90s. Rather the lead into the 90s, partnership into the 50s.
The Metrobank One Day Cup for women is underway. It was underway last week. Sussex Sharks not having a good morning. They were just bowled out for just 77 in 33 overs this morning down at Hove against Yorkshire.
Yeah, the Blaze lost here on Wednesday to Lancashire.
And Sussex lost their opening game down at Cardiff last week in a rain-interrupted game.
Division 2?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Sussex were desperately disappointed not to get a Tier 1 recognition, but they're in Tier 2. And as they bowled up just 77 today. In comes Ollie Robinson, back into the attack. Bowls to Josh Tongue, who plays that to backward point. There is no run. 3 slips, backward point, cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a fine leg. So 98 runs Nottinghamshire have added this morning. The lead is 93. So I think we'll just go into lunch. This partnership has just changed the context of the game, Dave. Robinson over the wicket, bowls and crumbs almighty. Well, let's see if he got anything on that. Yes, he did. He got an inside edge on that. It's gone down to fine leg for 4 runs, but that was a terrific delivery by Ollie Robinson. He cut back into the right-hander, inside edge, down the leg side. It's run away for 4 runs, and Robinson looks rightly aggrieved. He didn't pick up a wicket there. It was a cracking delivery.
Yeah, club cricket, you just say to the keeper, pound in the pot, mate, that's a drop. But John Simpson...
Long way down the leg side,
yeah,
wasn't it?
I'm going to say he couldn't do anything about that. It was the inside edge between bat and body and past the stumps and away for 4. Lead 97, that's 34 away from a second point with the bat.
Robinson in bowl, tongue drive to backward point. Good stop there by, I think that's Jack Carson at backward point, and there is no run.
He's had a quiet morning, hasn't he, Carson?
Yes, hasn't bowled, and interesting that he hasn't bowled. It could be they're just trying to protect the finger. He's got a finger injury, Jack, but also he had some problems with his finger bleeding as well. He bowled a lot of overs in the game against Somerset. But he's in the side. Interesting that they bowled James Coles ahead of him in this innings. Coles had picked up 5 wickets last week against Surrey down at Hove. Robinson in bowled. Right in behind that is Josh Tongue, shows the maker's name to Ollie Robinson. Carter Fields in the covers, no run.
18 wickets have now gone down in the match here. Same at New Road. Worcestershire 162, Durham 113 for 8. So they were the two sides that were 9th and 10th in the Division 1 table going into this round of matches. It's a low-scoring thriller, if you like, at New Road.
Well, there's going to be a result in that game because the weather's going to be pretty much set fair across the country. And comes Robinson. Over the wicket bowl, Tongue drives nicely to mid-on, fielded by Seals, and there is no run. I mean, the championship table could change around quite a bit this week. So those two sides down at the bottom, one of them is going to get a win. So who's not playing in this round? Yorkshire aren't playing. Essex not playing.
No, Lancashire Division 2, aren't
yes,
they?
They are.
Yorkshire, Essex, Hampshire.
Yes. Robinson. Somerset. No, Somerset are playing. Clipped around to the onside by Josh Tongue. He picks up a single. Ollie Robson stands hands on hips.
Warwickshire.
Well done.
We got there.
End of the over. 267 for 8. Josh Tongue is on 23. Liam Patterson-White is on 34. This excellent partnership between this pair is now worth 57 of just 67 balls. So runs have come quickly between these two. They've certainly put back to ball, but they haven't been slogging. They've been good cricket shots. As the sun tries to make an appearance across the ground.
Didn't get much of a breather, Robinson and Seals, did they? We had just 2 or 3 overs from Coles, 2 or 3 overs from Hudson Prentice, and they're both back in there.
And, you know, we know the Sussex have got problems with their bowling attack with injuries, but they're certainly they're earning their money here today.
Seals then looking for a 5-foot. And
Sure.
That's a glorious shot by Josh Tongue down the ground, and that's going to take the Notts lead into 3 figures. Lovely straight drive for 4. So Notts lead by 102. Jaden Seals also nearing his 100. He's now 4 for 98. But pitched that one up and it was hit back all the way along the ground safely, just to the onside of straight, down the ground and away for 4. No spectators there these days to throw it back. Everything's sealed off down at the pavilion end. Here's Seals in again. Bouncer, and this was a better one from Jaden Seals. Josh Tongue going to go very, very low down there for that one, just to go over the back of his neck and through to Simpson. Good response from the Trinidad and West Indies player. Pacey delivery.
But just goes to show that, if you apply yourself, you can make runs on this pitch. It's not a minefield by any manner of means.
No, Tongue on to 27. Partnership worth 61. Bowls now and dug out by Josh Tongue. Yorker length delivery from Seals, whose moment of quiet reflection ends with him just turning and setting off again. The long march back to top of his mark. 271 for 8. Stays 8 down, lunches at 1 o'clock. If it's 9 down, we'll go on a bit longer. So we've got about 12 minutes. Adrian might have to wait for his lunch. 271 for 8. Seals in. Josh Tong pushes it up to mid-off and there's no run.
I was talking to a Sussex supporter who travels to a lot of away games. Paul, who was downstairs with his wife having a cup of tea this morning. I was chatting away. He's a big Crystal Palace fan, and I said, I'm surprised to see you here. I thought you'd been at Wembley. He's been a season ticket holder for donkey's years. But they'd already made plans to come up here for the cricket, right. And he said, I'll be keeping half an eye on it, Adrian. He said, don't worry, we might even go back to the hotel and watch it.
Well, I would imagine the Larwood and Vos would have it on 5:30 kick-off, that one, isn't it? So
yes.
Seals bowls chipped in the air, but safely by Josh Tong. Had there been... Well, there needed to be a fielder between mid-wicket and mid-on, and there wasn't, but it was chipped in the air. 272 for 8, Tong on to 28, and the lead up to 103. Now the left-handed Liam Patterson-White hasn't really had to go recklessly after his shots. If there's been anything there that he's felt he's been able to muscle away to the boundary, he's gone after it, but he's had a lot of faith in Josh Tong here in this partnership. I'm more than happy to rotate the strike, and now he has gone after one. That was banged in short by Seals, and he has got hold of that, and shows that he's very much up for the challenge and pulls that away for 6. Is that the first maximum of the match?
Yes, it is.
6 for Liam Patterson-White to end the over. He goes to 40. 278 for 8.
This is reminding me of that Luke Wood innings.
Yeah, well, a little bit. Yeah.
Dave, it is.
Yeah, I think Liam Patterson-White would consider himself to be.
But it was a short. Yeah, it was a shortish boundary of that match, and but he's obviously a very good player, Patterson-White, but.
It was so unexpected with Luke Wood because
yes, it was. Yeah,
he was coming in at 9 or 10 or whatever, and we hadn't seen him produce anything like that in the matches, the few matches that he had played for Notts. But Liam Patterson-White and his sporadic appearances in and out of the Notts team does have a first-class 100 to his name.
Well, the balance of power has swung very much the way of Nottinghamshire in the last 45 minutes. Here comes Ollie Robinson to bowl to Josh Tong, who defends and picks up a single down to deep backwards square. Fielded out there by... Who's that out there? Finn Hudson-Prentice. One more to the total. 279 for 8. Tong to 29.
Did think when they reached 250 that would probably be it in terms of the batting bonus points, but it's just starting to draw into sight, isn't it? 279. Can they get another 21 for this wicket and the last wicket?
Well, this partnership is now worth 69, which must be the highest of the match. It certainly eclipses anything that Sussex achieved.
No, Hamid and Haynes put 80 odd on.
Okay, sorry. Robinson in bowls. Patterson-White clips this away through mid-wicket. More runs here. Be a couple of runs as Daniel Hughes needs to run to his left at mid-on to field. 2 more to the total. Patterson-White goes to 42. 281 for 8.
87 for the 4th wicket. Okay. Hamid and Haynes.
But it's certainly the second highest. Partnership of 71 now between these two. Means that Sussex have to take out that third slip. James Coles is going into a almost silly mid-on. He's very straight at mid-on, almost standing on the cut strip as Robinson comes around the wicket. Bowls to Patterson-White, who is nudging to second slip. That's another excellent slip catch, and nonchalantly taken by Tom Clark. And Robinson gets his man. Patterson-White, excellent innings, come to an end on 42. It's a 4th wicket for Robinson. It's a 4th catch for Tom Clark. And Nott are 281 for 9.
Out for 42, Liam Patterson-White, 5 fours, and that's 6 that he recently hit at the crease for an hour and a half. 59 balls faced, useful contribution indeed. In fact, you say more than a useful contribution there. He's helped Notts get a lead into 3 figures where it looked like they were going to be blown away this morning for maybe a lead of around about 60 or 70. But they've stretched that out. Farhan Ahmed will be the last man to come to the crease. He's already had a couple of lengthy stays this season. 31 he made in one of the matches, the Essex game. So he's another one who knows which end of the bat to hold. He looks just such a slight, slender, small in stature figure. 17 years of age, shouldn't really expect anything else. Gets a welcome greeting out in the middle from Josh Tong. But as we've seen already, knows what he's doing out there. I mean, brother Rian started, I think, down at number 11 as well. Now he's opening the batting for Leicestershire, although he has gone in at 3 in this current game, but got a century last week opening the batting. But I think as the years roll by, he'll be batting a lot higher in the order than number 11. Let's see what he can do here against Ollie Robinson. Here's Adrian.
Running away from us, looking for his fifer is Ollie Robinson in and bowls, and Farhan Ahmed just defends into the offside. There is no run. Rolled very well here, Ollie Robinson, in this match. What in his 22nd over, because of 4 for 79. Bowled well last night, maybe without the rewards that he deserved, but he's picked up 3 wickets today.
Be interesting to see how this plays out. I think had it been Josh Tong dismissed, I think Liam Patterson-White would have very much gone on the offensive and would have, we might have had a little bit of cat and mouse with everybody on the boundary and Patterson-White trying to face every ball.
Robinson in bowls, and he's a very solid forward defensive shot. There's Farhan Ahmed into the offside, no run.
But I'm not sure that's what will happen here between Tong and Farhan Ahmed. They'll just look, I think, just to eke out whatever runs. Sussex are gifting Farhan Ahmed a single here, or so it seems. They are pushing fielders back, and I would expect if there is a single, they'd take it. Wouldn't have been the biggest surprise in the world to me if Farhan had come in at 10 and Josh Tong at 11. Let's put it that way.
Robinson in bowls. Ahmed is forward very confidently. Plays to mid-on. There is no run. He'll have another good over from Ollie Robinson. 22 overs, 3 maidens, 4 for 79. Notts 281 for 9. Tong on 29. Ahmed yet to score. We will carry on now for a little longer. Lunch was due to be in 5 minutes, but we'll keep going now for half an hour or 8 overs, as Dave was saying. Or
yeah, that's from what time is it? It's 12:56. The digital numbers on the scoreboard. I don't know if that's what the umpires are going by, but we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll have a little look once it gets to 1 o'clock. 8 overs from then ish. Well, like I say, in the last game, I can't recall that happening before. 9 wickets down and playing through until 20-2. It took Essex 40 minutes to bowl those 8 overs, and they couldn't get the wicket. So out came the last pair. Well,
Sussex have clearly decided they're going to give Josh Tong the strike here.
Well, he's on the strike. Happy to give him a single. Seals, bowls, and the bouncer. Well, the plans of the captain might be to push everybody out and give Josh Tong a single. Jaden Seals wasn't going to let him have a single. He bowls a bouncer, which disappears over his head. 281 for 9. You presume that was 1 for the over, and maybe the next one will be pitched up in the block hole. Why
do you think the umpire has changed sides?
It does get a bit glary on that side. There isn't any sun out, but it would be away to our right if the umpire was looking in that direction. Oh, Tom Clark was down at long stop and now he's been brought up to second slip. A little strange, that field setting. There's Seals then trying to end the innings. Notts 281 for 9. Bowls now to Josh Tong, who opens the face and will get a single down to third man. Was a fielder down there patrolling. So, as I expected and suspected, as Finn Hudson-Prentice doing the fielding, if Notts have been offered a single, they'll take them, I think, with this pair.
Yeah, well, he's looked confident enough. Young Farhan Ahmed against Ollie Robinson.
Yeah, just
Reminds me in stature, he's a little bit like Archie Lenham when he made his debut for Sussex. When he got into line and looked perfectly capable.
Vaughan this season, 17, 31, 1 and 4. Next ball, he blocks it, 31 against Essex. Been update for Radio Nottingham. 282 for 9. Looks like lunch is going to be delayed here because Nottinghamshire are now 9 wickets down. They've just lost the wicket of Liam Patterson-White, who was starting to put his foot on the accelerator, pulled a big 6 away before falling to Ollie Robinson. So both Robinson and Seals have done a really good job this morning for Sussex. They've each got 4 wickets. They've bowled most of the overs this morning. They must be shattered. But Notts, remember, beginning the session, 164 for 3. They're now 282 for 9. That's a lead of 113. Not still in a strong position, but it should have been stronger. 282 for 9, so BBC Radio Nottingham disappears to Wetherby Road, Harrogate for the League 2 match between Harrogate and Notts County. Meanwhile, we wonder how long this session will be extended by. There's 2 balls left in the over and it's just coming up to 1 o'clock. So this is the 63rd over. Don't know if there's any music playing, but all the Sussex fielders are moving around at the moment. It must have stopped now because we've got a leg slip in and we've got an extra 3rd slip in, and this one gets a little big and either comes off the bat handle or the glove of Farhan Ahmed and runs out on the offside. 282 for 9.
Well, too, that's impressive because Jaden Seals is quick and he's into line, Dave. He's not sort of stepping away to square leg. Nothing wrong with that at all.
No, he's been used. I think he's 31, maybe even he's 17 as well. He's been used as a night watchman. Another helmet being brought out. He's been used as a night watchman and gone out there and fronted up. So
for him, yeah. I think we have a short leg here. I think.
Yeah, he's clearly got a technique to rely upon. Sometimes make the mistake of seeing somebody who's not very tall and doesn't look all that old and think they'll be easily blown away. Here's Seals in and kept out by Farhan Ahmed. Gets a round of applause from the crowd in here. 282 for 9. So right now, the next over will begin just a minute after 1 o'clock. We've had 63 on the clock, so we'll go for lunch after 71 overs unless the wicket goes down.
Well, I just wondered, playing sensibly, Notts might, they might think there's no need to. Josh Tongue might think, well, there's no need just to swing around because they can play very, plays very straight, pick up what they can. These are all.
I'm sure they're thinking, and it should be going through their mind. 18 singles here, and we've got another batting point.
Totally. Yep. Well, Ollie Robinson may have other ideas. He's coming in from the Ratcliffe Road end here at Trent Bridge. Over the wicket bowls to Tongue, who drives firmly down the ground. Robinson gets his left hand to it and diverts the ball to Daniel Hughes, who's fielding at mid-off. There is no run. Live cricket here on the BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Nottingham, however you're watching or listening, via maybe the excellent Nottinghamshire live stream or via the BBC website. It's been an incident-packed morning, no question about that. As Robinson is in, bowls and driven away by Josh Tongue. More runs here, at least 1 and probably 2. Ollie Carter is chasing hard back towards the cover boundary, but Josh Tongue comes back for a comfortable 2 in the end. He goes to 32, the total of 284 for 9, which tells us there's been 120 runs this morning. And 6 wickets.
Well worth the admission fee alone.
Definitely.
As they say. Ollie Robinson finished 1 not out. I don't think he was sort of out there long enough for Josh Tongue to give him a bit of a working over with the short pitch deliveries. He was at the non-strikers end when those 3 wickets went down at the other end in the last over.
Robinson in bowls. With that, he does bowl a short one. In fact, he did bowl 1 delivery. I think Ollie Robinson's first ball that he bowled to Josh
that's
Tongue
right. Yeah,
was
first
short.
Ball,
And we all went, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I think Ollie Robinson letting him have a taste of his own medicine. I'm sure they're good friends. But, I don't know whether they are or not.
Well, they both know the game, don't they? They both know what it's all about. He'd have been expecting that.
284 for 9. Robinson wheels around.
He knows he'll get one back as well in Sussex's second innings.
He does. In and bowls. Another short one down the leg side. Cry of catch. But not from John Simpson, the keeper. Sussex have made a change in the field. James Coles has come out of third slip into short extra cover. Bit of extra protection on that offside.
Sussex might be thinking we'll leave Josh Tongue out there. We'll let him tire himself out, so he's not going to be running in with so much energy later on. But Fergus O'Neill and Brett Hutton didn't stay in the middle for long, so
no,
they've not expanded too much energy today for their bowling efforts.
James Coles has now gone to leg slip, so he's in 3 different fielding positions in this over. In comes Robinson, bowls, Tongue. I thought he'd nicked that through to Simpson. There is no run, looking to drive through the covers. And the ball flashes past the outside edge into the gloves of the Sussex wicketkeeper, and there is no run. So 2 slips and a leg slip of the close fielders. It's a deep backward point. Jack Carson clapping his hands down there. In fact, they're just signalling they want Jack Carson to come up to an orthodox point, saving one. They've also brought up the mid-wicket, Tom Haynes, to save one as well. As in comes Robinson. Over the wicket, bowls to Josh Tongue, who steps away and has a big heave at that and is hit to Josh Tongue. On the arm, I think. Yeah,
arm or shoulder.
Yeah, he went to have a big mow at that, didn't he? Let's see if Ollie Robinson acknowledges Josh Tongue.
Don't show any pain. Don't show any pain.
In fact, I think he did just inquire. Maybe, are you okay? That was very unorthodox. He's batted very correctly, hasn't he, Josh Tongue? And he was looking to heave that one away on the leg side. The ball rather followed him, and he got struck around the arms somewhere. But he's okay. End of the over. 284 for 9. Tongue 32. Farhan Ahmed yet to score. And now we have got 3 slips and a leg slip for the young man.
Here comes Jaden Seals into bowl to Farhan Ahmed, and he's running to backward point. That little reminiscent of a tale that Luke Fletcher tells when we go out and about the cricket clubs and whatever, and he's got lots of funny anecdotes. He tells the tale of playing down at Hampshire when Tino Best was unleashing all sorts of weaponry from one end, and he'd forced 1 or 2 of the Notts players to retire hurt. Chris Reed had to go off with a broken hand, and he'd hit 1 or 2 others and sent a few stumps cartwheeling. His Seals in, bouncer over the head of Farhan Ahmed. Wicket went down, Luke Fletcher went out to the middle, and Samit Patel was out there as the not out batter. And at one end there's Tino Best bowling howitzers, at the other end is Mason Crane with his leg spin. And Fletch says, Samit greeted me and says, Mason's turning it square at my end, mate. I'll stay down this end if you face Tino. And Fletch gave him a bit of a glare, and then Tino interrupted, and I'm going to get you, Shrek, he said. I'm going to get you, Shrek. 284 for 9, and this has pushed a backward point. He says, I wondered if he was confusing me with the former Notts player Charlie Shrek, but no, he kept glaring at me, kept calling me Shrek anyway. He bowled a couple of bouncers, and then it was the end of the over. And then Samit got out to Mason Crane at the other end. He said, I couldn't stop laughing when he got out. I'm going to get you, Shrek. But, yeah, Samit, I'll stay down here and face Mason. He's turning it square. Well, he did. He bowled him.
Great stories. But he's got a few, hasn't he, Luke Fletcher?
Yeah, lots of them. Notts lead by 115, just trying to eke out 1 or 2 more runs as Seals bowls to Farhan Ahmed, who gets a single, working it past short leg there into the open gap at mid-wicket. Good round of applause. We're 4 balls into this over, and Farhan is underway. 285 for 9, Notts 15 away from that precious second batting point.
Hi, Adrian and Dave, says Sam Locke from Kunbanwa in Japan. He says, I live in Kobe, Japan, and tweeted Dave quite a bit during the previous season. I've tried to get back in touch via Twitter, but unfortunately I get a notification suggesting my tweets might not be visible to others due to my lack of activity on X. I haven't used Twitter since the last cricket season. That's probably why. I'm therefore attempting to get in touch via email.
Hello, Sam. Yeah.
I'll read the rest of your email after this delivery from Jaden Seals.
Our regular Japanese correspondent. Wondered where you'd gone to. That's a strange thing, isn't it, if Twitter doesn't let you use it? Seals comes in, bowls one that goes past the nose of Josh Tong and through to Simpson.
So he says, today I was out on the hills near Kobe, attached photo from the top of Ishii Dam. Awesome day out, but now nice to be back home with a Chinese takeaway and cricket on the stream. Enjoying the UK summer-style weather here before the sweltering Japanese summer begins in July. Let's have a look at the photograph that Sam has taken from the top of Ishii Dam. Oh, yeah, look at that. Beautiful. That looks like the... that looks like blossom on the trees there.
Yeah.
I think it's the time of year, isn't it?
They have a lot of that in Japan, don't they?
Yeah.
Blossom.
Yeah.
Supposedly, never been. Seals bowls another bouncer over the head of the bobbing Tong, end of the over, 285. And I'm sure it's perfectly normal as it is here to go out for a Chinese. It just sounds. Yeah, exactly. Sounds.
Should we go out for a sushi, shouldn't you?
Yeah, lovely to hear from you, Sam. Hope all is well. 285 for 9. The two umpires having a bit of a blather about things.
We've done well with people in different countries in this game.
We have.
We've had New Zealand, Australia, we've had America, we've had...
Kazakhstan.
Yes, that was good, wasn't it? Ollie Robinson.
And the email address, Adrian, is?
sussexcricket@bbc.co.uk.
Might get one or two more.
Now, 4 slips in place and a leg slip. Young Farhan
After just being lopped on or added on to this session.
Jaden Seals just putting on his jumper as in comes Ollie Robinson over the wicket bowls. Always a full toss, and Farhan Ahmed clips that away nicely. He's going to pick up a boundary. Jaden Seals is in hot pursuit. Is he going to get there? Oh, he does. Well fielded, Jaden. But they come back for a third. A good long chase there for the quick bowl. He's had to bowl most of it.
So wherever it goes, he was going to have to chase it, but now John Simpson has just made that change.
Yeah, Tom Haynes has gone out there now.
Yeah.
In comes Robinson to bowl to Josh Tong, who's 32 not out. He's in and bowls, and Tong looks to turn that one down the leg side. There is a leg slip in place, but he doesn't get a nick on that. Goes through to Simpson, no run.
If Notts can get these 12 runs, I think they've extricated themselves from a very difficult position. I think once Asiba Mead went 198 for 6 and then was very quickly followed back by O'Neill and Hutton. I feared that the lead would only be 60 or 70.
Well, there were 210 for 8, so these last 2 wickets have added 78. Robinson in and bowls, and Tong is right in behind that, plays into the offside, no run. So, well, there's a bit in the pitch for the seamers. If you're prepared to apply yourself, there are runs to be had as well.
It has to be said, Mr. Harms, you alarmed me about 5 or 10 minutes or so ago when BBC Radio Nottingham said, right, we'll go over to Dave Brayscale at Trent Bridge for cricket update. Oh, I'll just hang on to tell you that Chelsea have just scored a goal and you punched the air. I'd forgotten about that momentarily. What's all that about?
I did, yeah.
Punching the air?
Yeah. In comes Robinson. Bowls. And, well, the leg slip is there for exactly that. It was turned by Josh Tong, but it just bounced in front of James Coles. Literally just in front of him. James Coles is... now, Ollie Robinson looks a bit cross. Do you think he thought James Coles should be a bit closer, or... they're all having a natter there behind. John Simpson is talking to...
I tell you what, I thought it was off the thigh pad and did carry to him, but I'm equally...
Right.
Susceptible to believing I've seen things when I haven't.
Well, maybe it did. Maybe,
as per the stumping yesterday.
Maybe you've called that correctly.
I don't know.
Robinson. In again, bowls, and turned on the leg side. And this is going to be runs down to Fine Leg. A good sprawling save down at Fine Leg. I think that's Finn Hudson-Prentice down there. Good, nice round of applause from the Trent Bridge crowd. 1 more to the total, 289 for 9. You can't change your football team, Dave. I know that I work for BBC Radio Sussex and we follow the Albion, but my first game at Stamford Bridge was 1968, a 3-0 win against Ipswich. So you
Chopper Harris.
Yeah, Chopper Harris and all of that. Yeah, I've
Bonetti the cat.
Yeah. Yeah, David Webb, Peter Osgood, all of those.
Baldwin McCready.
Yeah. In comes Ollie Robson, bowls to Farhan Ahmed, who pulls, and is he going to be caught? No, he's not. They didn't know whether they'd have gone for it. He took a huge swing at that. The ball looped over Ollie Carter at short leg, and that will not improve Ollie Robinson's mood any.
That's the problem when you've got a helmet on and the ball goes up in the air.
Yes.
He just didn't know where it had gone.
Farhan Ahmed has pinched the strike. End of the over, 290 for 9.
Yeah, he was prepared to take him on, wasn't he?
He was.
So Notts need 10 for that batting point.
I've actually got at home, Dave, a certificate. I was talking about this last week from 1976 when Chelsea were going out of business and they needed to raise $100,000 to stay in business.
You lent him some of yours, did you?
They read there was a campaign called Cash for Chelsea as Jack Carson comes into the attack. And they were trying to raise this money, and there was a sponsored thing. I used to get my school chums to sponsor me every time they got a point. I used to take the money to Stamford Bridge. I was 15, put it in an envelope. You put it in oil drums outside the ground. And that's a true story.
The Roman Abramovich of his day, Adrian
well,
Arms.
You think of all the money that Chelsea spent, or some might say waste, they needed $100,000 to dig them out of trouble. And I did my bit. You can't change your team, Dave. That's
290 for 9. Carson has come into the attack. Bowled 3 overs, none for 16 yesterday. Trying to improve those figures with his first ball here. Farhan Ahmed turns it on the leg side. So the spinner operating to a field of 1 slip and a short leg. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 saving 1, and the other 3 out on the fence. As Farhan defends, say out on the fence. We've got boundary riders right on the ropes either side of the wicket, and then that Cole's down the ground 3/4 of the way back at long on. Carson short and pulled out onto the leg side. There'll only be a single to Farhan. Let's go to 291 for 9.
We're getting there, Dave. Wasn't so long ago you said they need 18. They've halved that.
Yeah. Josh Tong back on strike, and in fact short leg is being moved to silly mid-on. Carson bowls, played with soft hands. Who is that, number 11? We don't appear to have got a number 11 on our sheet.
Ollie Carter, sorry.
Right, that's why.
Yeah, let's change
I'm still looking at a scorecard that's got Ari Cavalis on the card. Yeah, 291 for 9. Tong will get a single, pushing this into the gap on the offside. Yes, only watched him bat for 2 hours yesterday. 292 for 9. The lead is 123.
That's a big lead.
There's Carson, and he comes in off a couple of paces, bowls now, and played wristily by Farhan Ahmed. He was trying to chop it away, but steered it straight to Allsop at backward point. No run, end of the over. 292 for 9, so we've had 4 of the 8 overs now.
I think Ollie Robinson's going to carry on. He's been to his 25th over. Greetings from Bangkok.
My word.
Says Scott Earl, who, I'm sorry to hear about this, Scott. He said, I suffered a heart attack at the beginning of the month.
Crikey.
And while I've been recuperating, it's been fantastic to be able to relax watching the recent games at Trent Bridge. Keep up the great work. I'm now recuperating at home with my feet up watching this excellent game. Well, Scott, we wish you all the best in your recovery.
Very much so, Scott. Thoughts with you out there? So just never know, do you? Just never know where people are.
No, I agree.
Are following the feeds, the live streams, the audio on the BBC Sport website.
You think, Japan and Thailand. Ollie Robinson is running away from us. 8 needed for this bonus point. Comes in, bowls to Josh Tongue, who covers up and plays into the offside. There is no run. And immediately Tom Haynes is dispatched by Ollie Robinson out to deep mid-wicket. I don't know why they did that after 1 ball of the over. I'm sure there's a plan.
Will have been done very deliberately for the benefit of Josh Tong, won't it? As if to make out you're going to get a short one now, and I'm expecting you to hook it straight down his throat.
Robinson again. In and bowls, and Tongue drives into the offside. They're going to take the single. Daniel Hughes misfields at mid-off, and he's annoyed with himself. Just goes to show the pressure, even with an experienced pro like Daniel Hughes, the pressure you put on by hitting the ball and running straight away. And the fielder took his eye off the ball, and they went through for a single. So he's not frightened here, Josh Tongue, of exposing young Farhan Ahmed to the strike, and he's looked very confident.
Yep. Like I say, had they come in the other order, I don't think anybody would have said Notts have got it wrong.
Robinson decides to come around the wicket. There's no short leg in place. He's in and bowls, and Ahmed, well, that wasn't a great looking shot. He stepped away to the leg side. I guess had he hammered that one away through the offside, I'd have said great shot, but he's played very straight so far, but he was...
Well, he was hitting towards the part of the field that had got no fielders.
Yes,
so
he was. So perhaps it's a fair enough shot. Actually, Ollie Robinson's now going to come over the wicket. But you're quite right on that offside. That's a good spot, Dave, because there's a massive gap between backward point and mid-off. So that was a little... That's the best piece of commentary, as in comes Robinson again. In and bowls, and Ahmed's up on his toes, and he's steered that nicely between second slip and third man. They're going to pick up a couple of runs. Good bit of fielding way down at the far end of the ground, where the young man goes to 8, 295 for 9. This is the sort of, if you're in the field, you've been out there for a long time this morning, you know, you just started to get a bit irritated now. I'm sure Ollie Robinson wants to go and put his feet up for half an hour. Yeah,
like all the sides, there'll have been a little huddle after each wicket, and once they've got Notts 9 down, right, let's get this last wicket and go and have some lunch.
Robinson again bowls to Farhan Ahmed. He's in and bowls, and he swings away onto the leg side. And that's a very good piece of fielding by Tom Haynes out on the mid-wicket boundary. The quality of the fielding and catching from both sides has been outstanding in this game. That was a very fine stop. Haynes racing around the boundary, prevented the boundary. Total goes up by 1, 296 for 9. 4 needed for a second batting bonus point that looked a long way away on 210 for 8, Dave.
Yeah.
And Brett Hutton was out. Robinson puffs out his cheeks. He's in his 25th over. Figures of 4 for 90. And he's in again. Bowls right up in the block hole. And they could be the 4 that are needed. The ball is going away towards the third man boundary. James Cole's in hot pursuit. Is he going to put it back? No, he doesn't. And the ironic cheers, James Coles tumbles over as he tries to stop the ball. And there we are. Nottinghamshire go to their 300 for 9. Josh Tongue goes to 39. Young Farhan Ahmed is on 9. And Nottinghamshire have turned this around this morning from 210 for 8 to 300 for 9.
I'll tell you what, on this pair as well, I think I've changed the home supporters' perception on how the morning has gone. I think they'd have been fairly low, or I know they'd have been fairly low at losing the first 5 wickets of the morning for just 40 runs or whatever it was. They'll have been, I was imagining it as well, a feeling that Notts had really failed to take advantage of what was a very good overnight position. But I think if you'd offered them 300 for 9 now, having bowled Sussex out for 169, most would have taken it. As Carson bowling to Farhan Ahmed drops this on the leg side. So this is over 6 of the 8. Can't recall the last time I'd seen a last pair bat through the extra half an hour, and then it happened in the last game. Being extraordinary if it happens again on the last game here, as Farhan pushes this just gently out onto the offside. It only goes a few yards away, and John Simpson comes from behind the stumps. Are you a yards man or a metres man?
I'm yards, Dave. Yeah, you?
I just wish everybody would make their minds up whether we're a decimal country or an imperial country. He's bowled him. Lovely ball from Carson. Punch of the air from the spinner as the innings ends on 300. Farhan Ahmed last out, bowled by Carson for 9, leaving Josh Tongue undefeated on 39. And Nottinghamshire have a lead of 131 there. What a really engrossing morning with lots happening. Sussex have picked up the last 7 wickets in the Nottinghamshire first innings, but in the end, Notts have added 136 for those 7 wickets, with Asib Hamid out for 85, the top scorer for Notts, and both Ollie Robinson and Jayden Seales taking 4 wickets apiece, and they deserve to lead their side off. They've performed heroically out there this morning. Robinson at the front of the queue, Seales at the back of the queue, and at, where are we, 25 minutes past 1 o'clock, it'll be a late lunch for everybody, Adrian.
It will. I've got to do an update in a minute, but I think the game has swung very much Nottinghamshire's way. I think Sussex would have felt at 210 for 8 with a lead of 30 or 40 that they were very much in the game. I'm not saying they're out of the game, but that is a substantial lead on a pitch that's giving a little bit of help to the seamers. And with this very strong Nottinghamshire seam attack, Sussex are going to have to bat a good deal better second time around, Dave, than they did in the first innings.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks, everybody. Keep your correspondence coming in if you wish. We're delighted to give you a shout out. Nottinghamshire 300 all out. That's a first innings lead of 131. 40 minutes from now takes us to about 5 past 2. So when Sussex begin their second innings, round about that time, we'll return with the commentary. I hope you'll join us then. 300 in a delayed morning session. It went on till about 1:25. So Notts with a first innings lead of 131. They made hard work of it this morning. They lost 7 wickets in that session, including the first 5 for only 46. Ollie Robinson and Jayden Seales, 2 test bowlers, were terrific for Sussex, each getting 4 wickets. Asiba Mead was the top score for Notts for 85. When he went, a little bit of panic, I think, set in. Liam Patterson-White, though, took over. He made 42, including a big 6 into the Smith-Cooper stand. Josh Tong was there at the end, unbeaten on 39. So Notts got not only 1 batting point, but reached 300 for 2. I think they'll be quietly pleased with the eventual outcome of the morning. They're 131 in front, even though it looked a little dicey round about midday. Sussex on their way out to the middle. Notts with that lead of 131. They'll be hoping O'Neill, Hutton and Tong can get amongst them early on in this session, and who knows, might be an early finish in this one. Umpires are out in the middle. By early finish, I mean 3-day rather than a 4-day. I wouldn't expect it to finish today. It'll have to be something quite extraordinary happen in the last 2 sessions of the second day for that to happen. Very much expecting a stiff Sussex reaction to what happened yesterday, and they've got some in-form players this season out there capable of putting some big scores on the board. We're going to get underway with Brett Hutton opening the bowling from the pavilion end, the Stuart Broad end. Tom Haynes and Daniel Hughes out there opening the batting, and here comes Hutton, bowls, and we're underway with Haynes dropping it on the leg side. He's on a pair, of course. It was Brett Hutton who got Tom Haynes in the first innings, a snick to third slip, and Jack Haynes hanging on to the catch, and that's where Jack Haynes is fielding at the moment. 3 slips, Clark, Duckett and Haynes, all of whom took a catch in the first innings. There's been some terrific slip catching in this match, as Adrian has emphasised a few times. Here's Hutton in now, and this wide of the off stump goes through to the keeper, Kyle Verena. So 64 overs remained in the day before the start of this session. Not entirely sure. I think T is as we'd expect it to be when 32 overs remain. So with 64 to go, it would be a split remainder of the day, 2 32 over sessions as Hutton comes in again, and Hughes resists having a little push at this outside the off stump. That was certainly baited for the trap by Brett Hutton, just wobbling it past the outside edge. Regulation 6-3, field 3 slips, backward point, man in the covers, and a mid off, and then a mid on, a mid wicket, and Fergus O'Neill down at long leg, who I saw taking a little bit of time out towards the end of the interval just to pose for a few photographs and what have you with the fans. Here's runs then, 4 of them, I think. Hughes is going to be hoping that it's 4 because he didn't set off running, and now it has gone for 4. Just off the outside edge. Not played with all that much conviction, I don't think, but it was wide of Jack Haynes and ran away to third man. So Sussex up and running, 4 without loss. And beg your pardon, Haynes on strike, so Haynes is off the mark for the match. Two balls left in this opening over. There comes Hutton. Sun peeking through the haze once again as this is eased out as far as Liam Patterson-White, the designated ball polisher, in the covers. BBC Radio Nottingham, BBC Radio Sussex Sport, bringing you as always the County Championship. Round 4 of 14. Brett Hutton, 4 wickets in the first innings, bowls, and 4 more runs to Haynes, and again it was in that gap between third slip and the gully, and this was a very much at catchable height, but they found the gap. So second boundary in the over, and Sussex are 8 without loss. It was nicely struck, nicely cut away, but it was uppish, and if Notts had had a man there, perhaps he wouldn't have played it. 8 without loss.
Well, it's a favourite shot of Tom Haynes, Dave, that cut to backward point. I didn't think he was quite in control of that shot, if I'm being perfectly honest. So whilst it is one of Tom's favourite shots, it could also be his downfall as well. And I recognise Sussex need to be positive here because they need to clear out these arrears, but by the same token, they need to bat better than they did first time around to give themselves a chance in this match.
Going to be Fergus O'Neill from this end. Just quickly to tell you, Worcestershire in their second innings at New Road against Durham are 6 for 3. 3 for next to nothing for Ben Rain.
Fergus O'Neill comes in from the Ratcliffe Road and bowls to his fellow Australian Daniel Hughes, who plays to mid-off. There is no run. So there's going to be a result in that one, Dave, at some stage, maybe not today, but
Worcestershire 162, Durham 136, and that's 26 Worcestershire lead by on first innings, and now they're 6 for 3, so they're effectively 32 for 3.
3 slips here, a backward point, cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a fine leg as O'Neill is in. Right arm over the wicket, bowls to Hughes, who lets that one go outside the off stump, taken by Carl Verena. There is no run. Did you see me look at I'm determined to pronounce his name correctly. Dave's laughing.
Without looking at the bit of paper.
Yes, Dave has very kindly put a bit of paper in front of us, and it's got Verena's name phonetically spelled so that I can't mess it up.
We're into session 5 now, Adrian.
I know. O'Neill is in, bowls, and forward comes Hughes, plays to mid-wicket. There's no run, fielded there by Ben Slater. There is no run. As you say, it's very still here. It's still a little chilly if you're out of the sun, but it's getting warmer as the day goes on. There's just a hint of a breeze. The flag's at the far end of the ground.
Have you been out in the fresh air or been downstairs?
I didn't actually. I went downstairs. You're very well looked after here at Trent Bridge. I can't speak highly enough of it, Dave, to be honest. As in comes O'Neill over the wicket, bowls, and Hughes drives nicely through the covers for 4 runs. Well, in fact, it wasn't quite as nice as I thought. I thought it was going through extra cover, but it's gone through point. But nonetheless, Hughes gets a boundary. Sussex go to 12 without loss. Excellent selection of food downstairs. For, just everyone very helpful. And I went and sat in the press room. So there was a couple of cricket journalists down there. We were chewing the fat about various things, cricket and England, and came back up. So it was very pleasant. O'Neill in again. Bowls, and Hughes lets that go through to keeper Verena, and there is no run.
A number of people have got in touch in the interval. Killer Klein, a decent lead for Notts at this rate. It could be over before close of play today. Or no, unlikely there. I think that's stretching it a little bit. I mean, it could happen, of course.
Well, what have we got left in the day? 62 overs after this one. O'Neill in bowls. Hughes lets that one go. Taken by Verena. There is no run. End of the over. Sussex 12 without loss means the arrears are 119. Well, certainly, Sussex will need to bat with more application, I think it's fair to say, than they did in the first innings.
Callum reminding us that when Josh Tong comes on to bowl, he'll be on a hat-trick. Thank you for that. Bob, the Coventry Magpie, could have and perhaps should have been a bigger lead, but it's a lead worth having. Plenty of time to finish the job this week without the weather scuppering the job as it was last week. Mark the Mod says, I'm just heading back home down to Sevenoaks in Kent after the most amazing gig in Liverpool last night by Shaq. It was their first in 15 years. And are you familiar with the work of Shaq?
No.
Haynes on strike, Hutton to bowl to Haynes, who eases it to point. So I said I'm not familiar with their work, sir. And he came back, I'm not judging you, Mr. B. Noel Gallagher of Oasis worships them and put their last LP out on his label. Lots of 60s influences like the Byrds and Love, but on the indie rather than your soul side of things. Sounds all's going well over there. Carry on. Thank you, Mark the Mod, who's left Sevenoaks in Kent for a weekend gigging in Liverpool to see Shaq. Haynes has 8. Hughes 4, 3 boundaries in this innings, and there's another one. And again, you have to say there's There's an element of good fortune in that it flew off the top edge and high away over point for 4. It was always going to be safe and quickly went to the ropes, but wasn't totally out of the centre of the back. Ben to say good afternoon. Quite an enticing game for a neutral. I've got one question. Tea being taken when 32 overs are left in the day, but it's always been like that, or is it new for this? No, it's always been like that. I realise I might not be expressing myself. Nope, you're all right, Bent. No, we did. I think when I was a lad, they used to go a little more strictly by the time, but for a long, long time now, it's been tea at when 32 overs remain in the day. If it's a normalish day, as this is turned on the leg side. If you get a weather interruption and like you don't start until 11:30 or 12 or whatever, they'll have a bit of a rejig. But generally, if it's a full 96 over day, they try and make sure it's roughly 3 even sessions, and in order to make sure it's not a particularly long post-tea session, they always say we'll go to tea when 32 overs remain. Or 20 to 4, which is the later. Hutton bowls, and Haynes resisted having a little nibble at that one, but he was close to doing so. Lovely delivery, just on a line of half an inch outside off stump.
I think he played at that, Dave.
It's a good ball. Bit of gardening being done by Hughes at the other end. 16 without loss. And 7 wickets go down this morning in a session which didn't finish till about 25 past 1. Comes Brett Hutton bowls, and similarly just outside off stump, and similarly the batter doesn't get anything on it.
He definitely played at that one as well. Definitely played at that. He's got a start here as Tom Haynes. I think his game has changed a little this season. I mean, he is an opener who likes to get on with it, but he's been very circumspect when he's got himself going this season. That's what needs to happen here today.
Need partnerships this afternoon. Sussex. Hutton bowls and pushed into the offside, partially stopped by Liam Patterson-White, and he did well there because he got to it quickly, and though it was only partially stopped, he managed to deflect it into the path of a Seba Mead. So if they had tried to run on a misfield, there'd have been trouble. 16 without loss. And that's after just 3 overs. Hutton none for 12. 3 flashy boundaries that have gone all down to third man. And Fergus O'Neill similarly has leaked a boundary in his solitary over.
Never run on a misfield is what they say. George has been in touch. Hello, George. He says, dear Adrian and the team. That's me and you, Brace. I'm a converted football fan that has been watching cricket since 2022. However, this is my first season watching the County Championship. I've been loving it so far, and even got to see my first game at Hove against Somerset, which was a fantastic day out. Just break off for a moment as here comes Fergus O'Neill round the wicket bowls to Hughes. Lets that go, taken by Verena, and there is no run. I've even managed to get my head around some of the intricacies of the County Championship, such as the seemingly bonkers scoring system. Interesting to talk about that. We've had a lot of chat this season already about the scoring system and bonus points. Mark Church would do away with it altogether, bonus points. But I think there's a general feeling that maybe there are too many points for a draw. In comes O'Neill round the wicket bowls. I'll get Dave's views in a minute. Hughes plays this down to third man, picks up a single. What I would like to ask is about fan favourites at different counties. What players are there to look out for that are favourites amongst fan bases, even if they are not necessarily the first name on the team sheet? I don't know if it's like football like that. Do you, Dave?
No, I don't think
favourites?
so. I don't think so.
I mean, I guess here back in the day, Stuart Broad would have been a huge fan.
Well, Luke Fletcher was,
right.
Yeah, there's an example. I mean, he was a big fan favourite, and he could hardly do any wrong, and would, very, very much get them on the edge of their seats when he came on to bowl, particularly at this end, and he'd do his bit back to, ask for more, like you see football crowds asking for more from the crowd.
O'Neill in bowls. A lovely shot by Tom Haynes, and as a super shot, just over pitch slightly, and Tom Haynes drilled the ball. He was in complete control of that shot. Drilled it through mid-off for a boundary. Haynes goes to 16, 21 without loss.
It's a game heavily reliant on statistics. Isn't performing, wasn't delivering on a regular basis. It doesn't matter how popular you are with the crowd. soon fall out of favour.
O'Neill again bowls to Haynes. Well, that's... Dear, I don't know what happened there, whether they buys or did he get a nick on... Well, they are buys. Well, that must have been an inside edge. I'm not so sure Tom Haynes' bat was anywhere near his pad. He's got a thick inside edge, and that's raced away